Well, hey there, ho there, neighborhoony. You've tuned in, dialed up,
Dialed in,
you've
turned on,
tuned out.
tuned in to tune out.
It's the CapmLew podcast with your host, CapmLew, and your host,
Luke,
we co-host,
co-hosting.
even though it's mostly because I'm lost without you, Luke.
Aw,
I can't do it.
gosh. Look
I
at
could.
ya.
You know it.
I
know
know
it.
it's
But
fine.
I do not want to.
Yeah, I think the problem that
So,
we're coming up
A
on
lot
is,
of work for me to podcast on my own.
Yeah.
The first work is trying to get it together, and the second work is coming to terms with the fact that I usually do not. A lot of media out there from me just yapping along to my stream of consciousness.
yes.
Less a flow state than almost some sort of psychological break state.
Just this ever descending degradation of thought.
Last
falling.
episode, we promised you guys we were going to do two things, and we've been abridging our episode lengths, and which is probably going to result in me doing some. I got Jemph on the line, going to get him in here.
Yes.
I'm not going anywhere without Jemph.
Yeah, he's the man.
Jemph is the man. If you don't know who I'm talking about Jemphery Vanover. He has been with us on the podcast together one time, right?
Yeah, for a second. Yeah.
And then once or twice with me
I think twice.
as a guest co-host.
Oh, yeah.
And Jeff Vanover is good medicine.
He is. He's good people.
You know, there's a meme that went around and said, "Stop making stupid people famous."
I don't think it worked.
Well, yeah. I don't think it worked.
I don't think it worked.
Wow.
Can we up the dosage?
Can we up the dose? That's so good, bro. Dude, I'm lost without you. Seriously, that's internet gold. Internet gold.
Oh, man.
Jeff is not stupid, people.
No.
He is emotionally intelligent,
Yep.
highly seasoned with life experiences, and is coming at life from a willingness to be vulnerable and experience it as it's coming and take the lessons it's given.
He's very gentle and kind. I like that about him a lot.
He is a well-mannered man.
Yes.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah, we love you, Jemph.
Yeah, true that.
Jeff and I have been trying. Jemph and I.
Excuse me, Jemph and I.
Jemph and I have been trying to get together all week.
Oh, yeah?
And we're just texting, just internet device tagging.
Yeah.
It's fine. But there were a couple things we were going to talk about last time. One of them was a clip from TikTok with Muska.
Oh, yeah.
Mentioned by Omar Hassan. The other one was an NTSB, National Something Safety Board.
Yeah. Like OSHA.
It was like an OSHA video about the Gent, West Virginia convenience store explosion.
Yeah, rough,
It was
dude.
a propane explosion.
Tough.
And I thought it was very parabolic to the just rolling cooking disaster that we have in skateboarding and skateboarding media. I do.
It's like a propane leak filling up a convenience store.
That's what it's like.
It really
so it was Gent, West Virginia, spelled Ghent.
Yeah.
It's named after a town in
Ireland,
not France.
England.
They speak French. Not Netherlands. They speak Netherlandese. They speak Nederlands. Brussels is in it.
Germany.
No, they speak German. they speak
French?
Neither French nor Nederlands.
Are you saying that they speak both
French? It's a
French
country that has Belgium.
Oh.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yes.
All right, I just got to see on my geography final.
And it's not pronounced Gent in Belgium. It's pronounced Hent.
Hint. I'm on it.
You're doing great. You're doing great, young American.
I test well, all right? I'm a great test taker.
He's a great test taker.
Yeah, but he's a great test taker.
Golly.
That's so funny.
He's an engineer among mechanics.
Yeah, there it is. There he is.
So listen, long story short, roundabout whatever year it was, not too long ago in
2010.
yeah, something like
7.
that. Uh, Young junior propane guy accidentally over loosened
Is
a
that what he did?
valve, and the valve blew off of a propane tank. It's under high pressure.
Yes. But he over
And
loosened.
he got
Okay.
himself some serious cold burns
Yeah.
trying to get that thing back on,
Yeah.
standing there in a flow of liquid propane
Yes.
gassing out.
Yeah.
It's a very endothermic reaction.
Yeah, just
It's an
waiting.
endothermic state transfer from
Yeah.
liquid
Yeah.
to gas.
Right.
Yeah. And so when the paramedics got there, they started treating him
Yeah.
for his cold burns
Mm-hmm.
at the tank.
At the tank.
They finally told everyone to evacuate. They didn't. They just flipped the sign to closed because it only smelled like propane. It was no big deal.
No, dude, what's even crazier is the guys came and
Badass.
said, you have to close down your store. And they said, okay. So they closed down their store. They flipped the sign, but the worker stayed inside the store.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
I mean, it was just an absolutely horrific, and so it blew up.
Yeah, because gas was coming off the tank into the eaves, into the vents.
It was shooting straight up the side of the building.
Yes.
Into the attic ventilation of the eaves.
Yes. And then going.
And then it was catching some vent pipes
into
that vented into the attic.
Into the attic.
So that would have been like a bathroom fan.
Yeah.
But they didn't vent through the roof.
Yes. They went down into the
They
soffit.
just were piping attic because it was a public bathroom, so it's not like they're showering in there. So
Right.
they would probably feel free to rig that, and so it flowed down those as propane drops. It's cold.
Yeah.
It blew up, and I look at it and I'm like, well, and I actually spent like a half an hour yesterday listening to the Bunt podcast and just trying to navigate a world in which I don't like use any specific examples of a culture that is so on the wrong track.
Sure.
That have we gotten to a point where we have enough dead friends that it's not everything should be allowed.
Sure. Okay, well, break it down.
I don't think that at the level of we want to call it
institution.
No, I'm talking about it's okay in one sense for you to have a podcast and to just be super cool with whether it's 9 Club or the Bunt, or I mean these are our two biggest. The Bunt is the #1 podcast in skateboarding,
self-proclaimed,
sponsored by Vans.
They can't
since
be
19
dude.
mother flipping 60 mother flipping 8. And maybe it is. It might be.
It might be. That would be a trip, dude.
It's a podcast definitely by the people for the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think so. And I think that the people love that young 14-year-olds are blazing their way forward into being washed up 22-year-olds. We've spoken very openly with these examples that stand in front of us. And I don't take it back. The cost of it is going to be immense. Like,
yeah, has been and will continue to be.
Well, I mean, you can't get blood from a stone. It's not like I came into this with anything to lose.
Yeah.
And allow me to clarify.
Yeah.
I renounced this world and the dark forces behind it when I was baptized. I don't feel beholden to the feelings or profit margins of this world.
Yeah.
So, some people might reach out and say, "Hey man, take it easy. Those Bunt guys are going to finish you off one day." No way, first of all. They're Canadian.
Yeah,
they're probably sweethearts.
They're probably really nice guys.
If there's anything I've come to count on coming out of Canada is that they are, well, they've shown it in their podcast. They're very easy to get along with.
Yes.
I bet the only folks that are probably have a hard time getting along with would be people like me.
Yeah.
Who say, "Yo, man, I think we need to stop strip mining these young people
Right.
and overlooking massive issues
Right.
that exist.
Yeah.
Especially the like, it's cool to do drugs thing.
Yeah.
Even weed is getting a little out of hand.
It really is, dude.
But listen, it's pills, and it's not only is it pills, and then cheaper than pills is straight from the poppy.
Yeah, sure.
And is that true though? I don't know.
I
I
think
don't
pills are
care.
actually pretty easy to get, which is
Yeah.
a trip.
It's just so dark. And they, everyone can say, well, we had someone on who got sober.
Sure.
But I am dying for the interview on a podcast where someone says, hey man, I'm actually upset sitting here talking to you because I can see that you're stoned right now.
Right.
Maybe we should put this one in the can.
Right.
And we can just get together when you're not blazed out of your head, because honestly, this isn't good for any of us to just laugh along.
Yeah.
And you're like, been doing this since you were like 13.
Yeah. Right.
Vandalizing Woodward and things like that. I'm speaking, of course, specifically of the Cater-Silla interview, which it just seems like it just goes along way too smoothly. So we're going to ruffle that up. And also, Luke, I'm going to carry you along with me.
Go ahead.
See if you
That's
can ride
fine.
this.
Yeah.
We think that you should ruffle it up too.
Yeah.
We think it should become a lot less cool for companies and people in the culture to platform. What do we call it? What do we want to call it?
Strip mining of the young people, or the uplifting of
like what, antisocial?
Yeah, I don't even know. There's so many words.
It's destructive.
Yeah, it's destructive.
Destructive
right.
tendencies. Yes. Destructive behaviors.
A life of or what's the D word that we talk about?
Degradation.
Degradation.
I didn't want to say it because it's such a 50-cent word. But
I know. We used another term. Was it degradation?
Dissipation.
Dissipation. That's what it is. Yeah. It's just hedonism. It's let's drink and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Like, life has no meaning, so then let's just be as happy as we possibly can, whatever happy means,
And I like going on vacation, and I
like
to feast, and I like to be with friends. I don't think that merriment and some of the hedonistic aspects of life, I think that's where skateboarding does belong.
Yeah.
But when you're watching a guy burn out his mind,
oh, absolutely,
like, kick him off your team.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, let's not have it. Like, they strip mined Antoine Dixon hard, and I critique it.
Yeah.
I think it's wrong, and I think you could have seen it.
Right.
But I mean, it was all on the way to heck in a handbasket when that was going on. I mean, when the X Games were new and all that. So we've had sort of a very degrading industry mechanism toward what they would call the talent.
Sure.
And we've platformed people who affirm that degradation.
Yeah.
Like, the riders would never talk about that. Outside of that, you'll get some who actually ran a cleaner thing. Who's the guy in the yellow helmet? Andy McDonald.
Oh yeah.
Sure. They run a cleaner operation. They're on the circuit. Maybe some of the Nitro Circus guys. I don't know.
Well, and I think the only reason they got any respect or airtime is because, I mean, Andy McDonald was doing some absolutely bonkers maneuvers. You know what I mean? Like,
hard work and discipline over time, plus great connections.
And obviously moneyed somehow.
Lots of sponsorship money, lots of big names.
Yeah. I think Bob Burnquist is kind of in that same. And I love watching those guys skate, but like, Bob has like a mega ramp in his backyard.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And that's very cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love watching it.
It's very difficult for me not to be enthusiastic about some of the achievements that are happening in skateboarding.
Sure.
But I smell propane.
Dude, sick. I love it when you say something and I don't have to guess what the name of the podcast is going to be. That's awesome, dude. I smell propane.
I smell propane.
Smell propane. Are you smelling? Is somebody making burgers? Yeah, dude.
No,
absolutely. And it might be, I'm listening to the things that you're saying, and I'm wondering, like, is this too much to ask from this culture
So
whose base model is
yeah,
punk rock, antisocial, like eh, total hedonism? And there's an aspect of that that I really like and respect, but at some point, maybe a subjective line in the sand, you jump the shark, and we say, okay, whoa, this
yeah.
is too far, you
So
know?
the problem with guys like us is that we might come in here and use this perspective that we're sharing to try to gain power and control over the culture,
I love
right?
power and control.
We might start just going ham
Mhm.
on criticizing
Yeah.
people who are doing it wrong.
Yes.
And this is why I have an affectionate appreciation and gratitude to the bunt,
Sure.
because they are not doing every single thing wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but they have become an example that we referred to. And I think that a lot of people who like the bunt,
Mm-hmm.
they like something that has
Yeah.
a lot of quality going into it. I just don't think the bunt guys should stop.
No.
And I'm not even sure that the answer is for them to change their podcast
No.
at all. In fact, like um, the bunch should keep doing what they picked a lane.
Yeah, they're in
They
their
like
lane.
their
Right.
lane.
Absolutely.
But I do think that the addition
Yeah.
of our voice to the community, that's where we've gone,
Right.
to add our voice into the community. And
Right.
we'll continue. Like we pulled up the San Francisco Standard,
Oh yeah. 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 Right.
on
Yeah.
Jake Phelps, and we talked about that at
Yep.
length. And we're going to continue to do that. But the thing is, we don't think you shouldn't listen to the bunt.
No.
And we think that if you like it, you should listen to it.
Sure.
And we definitely don't think that you shouldn't listen to, or like, well, I don't think you shouldn't read Thrasher magazine at
Yeah.
all.
Thrasher's fun
I
to.
I don't feel that we should boycott Thrasher magazine, but we
Sure.
just want to add our voice out in there
Yeah.
and let you guys know that we smell propane.
I smell some
We
propane.
we have seen a lot of dead friends. We have seen a lot of encouragement kind of at the deep
Yep.
foundational level of skateboarding's culture
Mm-hmm.
that we would like to just pull a fire alarm on
Yeah.
and say, hey, everybody, let's be willing to rethink our personal engagement with our neighbors, our
Yeah.
friends, our fellow skateboarders. Let's be willing to pay the cost for uh, pushing the needle on our sensitivity to the consequences that are lurking when, because it turns out it's not all good.
No.
And as far as I had that confrontation years ago, 2005, I had a confrontation with an art director I was working with in a small skateboard brand.
Yeah.
And he was a fiery guy, still around.
I like those guys.
Love you, buddy.
Yeah.
Hope you're well. Was filtering.
Yeah.
Um, um, and he gave me. He used to poke people in the chest.
Like physically hit
Physically
them.
poke
Oh,
people in the
I don't
chest.
like that
Oh,
very
he's
much, dude.
spicy.
I don't like
Spicy.
that very much, dude. Like,
he he had like 3 bar fights.
okay.
In the time I knew him.
Yeah, great. Like full on bar brawls.
Far
Yeah.
too often on the floor in a bar.
Yeah, like yeah.
He kind of, but charming.
Yeah.
A charming guy.
Just reconciling the relationship with his stepfather.
Oh, God
Live
bless.
in
He did
action.
have great
Yeah.
parents.
Oh,
He had
good.
very
Okay,
loving
good.
parents.
Yeah.
But he did not poke me in the chest, but he poked his finger at me and he said, "Respect the gnar," because we'd been working together, and I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
I don't want to look at porn.
Oh,
Nope,
you bastard.
I
Yeah.
only want to drink 1 beer.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah. Sure.
like I got to drive, so I'm not gonna drink any beers.
Yeah. Right.
Or nope, there's kids around. Nope, I don't smoke. Oh, I didn't smoke marijuana.
Oh, that
That
was
was a
yeah.
big deal. That was a big deal. In fact, they gave me a list of things they required in a meeting. I had to smoke dope
Yeah.
in public.
Oh.
I had to get plastered drunk at an event,
Okay.
and I had to knock down some kids. That was their,
Yeah, like
I
a
think it was hyperbole,
yeah.
but it did
But was
not
it though?
sound like hyperbole at all.
Right.
The way it was said, they
They want
like
you to respect
this,
the
this,
Nor.
and this.
Right.
You two Mr. Rogers, you two PBS kids, and like
Right.
that. And you know what? That was the way they wanted to run their brand,
Yeah.
and I respect that. I do.
I respect that they have the option to run it that way. I
But
don't
when I
think.
started my own brand to add my own voice to the community, they
Yeah.
did the classic.
Right.
I mean, I had a guy come to me. He's like, Lou, XYZ guys from that just told me that you embezzled $50,000 to start your own company and you
Yes.
stole all their ideas,
Yes, dude. Right.
And I said to the guy, like, do you believe I did that? And he's like, I honestly don't know what to believe, man. Those guys they're the king of town to me.
Right. Sure.
And if I don't believe them, then where does that leave me? And
Right.
and what will happen to my friendships if I don't polarize to wherever they're pressuring
Of
me?
course. Right.
And I lost a lot of respect for that. No, I didn't lose any respect for that person because they hadn't earned any in the first place.
Yeah, right. You can't lose what you didn't have, friend.
And I didn't lose any
Yeah.
affection for him because
Yeah.
my affection for people is rooted in the fact that God so loved you that he sent his only son
Right.
to die. He gave his son for you. And so I'm having trouble being mad at anyone.
Sure. Yeah.
But that is, if you wanted the story to tell better, you should have done different.
Right.
Right.
And the story's never yet. So, I don't know.
That stuff that's propane I smell.
Yeah.
This is not good. And while I don't think it's exactly the kind of fire that's going to explode the whole store, it's definitely, we've got dead people.
Yeah. People keep going to the bathroom and passing out on the floor. And
you
know what I mean?
We've had a number of high profile people die in terrible car accidents that are intoxication, related.
Yeah.
And I understand in a hedonistic culture that it's not going to happen that they come out and say, like, Thrasher's going vegan.
Yeah, right.
Or sober.
Sure.
That would be like,
right.
They see sober and vegan in kind of the same headspace.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, vegan might be a little cooler than sober.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. I haven't.
At least it's hip. Right.
To someone.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Sobriety is really tough. Sobriety is very hard. It's not glamorous. That's one of the first things about sobriety is that daily living without the help of our chosen favorite substances it's rough.
It's tough, yeah.
But daily living with the help of our chosen substances is not only tough, it could be tougher.
Oh, absolutely.
The problem is that leaves a choice between tough and tougher.
Yeah.
And hedonist people tend to want something easy.
Yeah, all the time.
Which doesn't exist.
Yeah, but Lou, that's so unfair.
Well, you're going to have to take that up with the Almighty.
Yeah, you talk to him.
He made you.
Right.
You got born without him asking your permission.
Yeah.
He rules his creation. And you know what? You're going to have to get in that wrestling match with him and see who comes out on top.
Yeah, good luck.
Or you can ignore him, write him off, judge him, slander him, and see where that gets you. Not recommended.
Yeah, please don't.
Not recommended, but often done.
Often done,
It is a very popular option.
Yeah. Though I will say, I prefer an open blasphemer to someone who just doesn't care. Both horrible, but
I'm extremely comfortable around people who are hostile in their relationship to God and His stuff. Hostility toward God is a sign of a heart and a mind that are trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Trying to find, I'm okay with that. If you're just a dyed in the wool, God hating person, I love you.
Yeah, me too.
And I like you.
Me too.
And but people who are easy breezy about it and just don't want to go there, don't want to wrestle it out.
Right.
And don't even get me started on the smooth religious thing that winds up being about money.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Because if you think we've been hard on the bunt.
Just wait. Yeah, I know.
Seriously. If you think we've been hard on the bunt.
Right.
And I think more like I don't actually think we've been hard on the bunt.
No.
I don't think that the words we've actually said equal to being unfair
Right.
or even mean.
No.
But when it comes to that kind of super monetary hypocritical thing,
Yeah.
I'm committed to using a lot of self-control and restraint, because people's stories aren't over yet.
No.
And um, I've done a lot of stupid and bad things,
Yeah, me too.
and I might be doing some now.
Sure.
And I would sure like it if the people who could tell that I was doing something wrong were at least kind when they pointed it out.
Yeah, right.
And that's
Right.
golden rule material,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Sure.
where trying not to be abusive or coercive toward people in the interest of correcting maybe something that's a little bit off the reservation.
Right.
So that's the propane attitude we've
Right.
got.
I just want to say really quick, I hope that we get to meet the guys from the Bunt one day, because I bet they're, just like you said, super
Sweethearts.
nice, super sweet, and I bet hearing their perspective would help round out my perspective on, because I can't stand listening to the Bunt. I cannot
What
stand
is it
it.
that irks you so about the
It
bunt?
feels okay. There's multiple aspects. The first one is that it feels openly inauthentic, like the pseudo gangsta style that we got going on. Just feels very. I'm like, what
That's
is this?
that's an authentic Canadian accent.
If that's true, then I, I am living under a rock. Yeah, I don't believe you.
Are you telling me that you've never heard the authentic Canadian accent? Love? Do you know about
Dexter?
do you know about that?
No, what is
Oh
that?
no, French Canadians.
Oh,
They say
no.
le a lot.
No, I've never. That's hilarious. I really don't like that, and I don't like. They are pretty apathetic. All their questions are really softballs, and I didn't like the way that they interacted with Cater. I thought that they
No, it was
were
very.
laughing at him and not with him, and instead of
I,
reaching a hand out and asking any of the hard questions, they just fed into Cater's ultimate demise, in my
I
opinion.
I was listening to them talk to Josh Kalis yesterday, and I noticed that they just try to meet their guest where they're at.
Yeah, and I think there's
They're,
value there.
well, I don't. I don't. Intellectually, as a guy,
That's funny.
I
Yeah.
feel better
Sure.
when there's some give and take between
Yeah.
an interviewer and a subject. I feel like
Sure.
the interview is richer for that.
Yeah. Sure.
And at the bunt, they are not there to question or investigate or probe the value system of a person.
Yeah.
You know, they do lift up the corner on maybe someone doesn't get along with someone or something like that, but they're
Sure.
very they you know, they're very quick to say, oh, we don't want to cause any drama,
Right.
you know, this, that, or the other thing.
Right.
They've had guests on there, like Freddie Gall went on there, and Fred tells story after story that don't reflect well on him
Right.
as a guy.
Sure.
But they play really well to the hedonism of skateboarding,
Yes. Right.
because people in skateboarding, they aspire to the sort of like even just like what's it called when you live through someone? You know, I'm living vicariously.
Vicariously.
Even
Yeah.
vicariously, they might want to just experience the stories. You know,
Sure.
they might not do those things, but I'm a little weird. You're a little weird, because we don't want to be encouraged to do things that would destroy our marriages,
No.
or our parenthood,
Yeah.
or our jeopardize our health.
Yeah.
We're kind of like, you shouldn't do that because it will hurt you,
Yeah.
and we like you
Right.
a lot,
Yes.
and you shouldn't do that because you could hurt someone else.
Right.
Risky behaviors are never just isolated self-risk.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't do that because that's participation in the economy of human trafficking.
Right.
For example, there's lots of stories that are definitely conjunctive with economies of human trafficking, whether they be drug stories or stripper stories or prostitute stories or porn stories.
Yeah.
You know, and we're like, not really cool, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yo.
Absolutely. Right.
So we're going to be those guys over here in our
Yeah.
corner.
Outliers.
Maybe. maybe someone would point at us and say, "Oh, you're the moral authority of the 1980s. You're Jerry Falwell and you're Tipper Gore. You know, like
Yeah.
Jello. You're the one Jello Biafra warned me about in 1986, 7. You
Yeah.
know,
Don't you put that evil on me.
but we're not, because
Yeah.
we don't want to. We don't want to outlaw things. We just want to possibly
Talk about them.
bring free speech to it
Yeah,
and give you guys something to consider.
absolutely.
That we're live for a very short time, and I do believe that it's appointed to man once to die,
Yeah.
and then the judgment.
Yeah.
And it's important for us to square that circle with God. He made the way to
Yeah.
square that circle.
Absolutely.
And I think everyone ought to be pretty sober
Yeah.
in their thinking,
Yeah.
because we die, and it's, what's coming next. It really looks like that there's been a miraculous and a well evidenced incursion
Yeah.
of God
Yeah.
into human history
Yeah.
in the person Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
Mashiach Yeshua.
Yeah.
Like this thing is a big deal.
Yes.
So we tend to be on that sober end, but even just on the mechanical side of it, like,
Yeah.
hey man, will you guys stop at, like with the softball, we'd like to see some hardball questions. Be a lot cooler if you did.
Yeah. Right.
It'd be a lot cooler to hear some hardball.
Yeah.
But that's why we'll ask the hardball questions.
Yeah.
And I had someone talking to me the other day who's in the industry, and they were like, I have this pro skater that you want to interview him.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Only if he
I
wants
said,
to
that's
lose his
not going to
career.
be a softball interview. So,
Right.
like,
And at your own risk.
we have like 30 listens per podcast.
Yeah.
And put a well-known pro skater. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Right.
But we don't need that.
Well,
We don't need that.
And then we'll see what time does. It may be that people will become more and more interested in what pro skaters might want to come on here. It might be really refreshing to people. I know that the way that we speak is refreshing to me, and I think a lot of people feel that way.
Well, I'm happy. We got some feedback.
Yes. We can't pull it up, but it's there.
We did. We got some feedback. We're grateful for all of you who listen. You know what? Now's not a bad time to mention it, that the CapmLew podcast is brought to you by Life Skateboards.
True that.
These are the boards we ride.
Yes.
And we find it very easy to be devoted to Life Skateboards, because that little company has persevered. I mean, we're talking from the ground up. Started in 2012.
Yeah.
And actually got the name rights to Life Skateboards from Sheffy and Ron Allen.
Yeah.
And did it right.
Yeah.
And have had ups and downs over it's been 11 years.
I know, it's just a trip.
It's been 11 years.
Yeah.
And it's always been just close to the ground. And it's run by a super creative, out of the box ripper.
Mm-hmm.
And the head honcho is Sam.
The illustrious.
He is not illustrious. There's nothing about Sam that he'd be right here with it.
That is so true.
He is a non-illustrious figure.
Yeah, he is not.
He's quiet. He's dogged. He's perseverant.
Yeah.
He's he just keeps going.
Yeah.
And
he's gnarly.
Their mistakes have been made.
Yep. Mistakes have been rectified.
Mistakes have been made.
Yeah.
Mistakes have been persevered through. Where they could be rectified, they were.
Yeah.
And like, this is how it goes.
Yeah.
Some people have asked me, like, Lou, you did your own thing, and now you're riding for another company. And I'm like, well, my own thing is in my back pocket, and it's always nice to have like a thought in your mind, like, oh, I could do my own thing.
Yeah.
But I have no plans to do that now. No active plans, because I'm watching Life Skateboards accomplish for you skateboarding everything that I wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
And the thing that was important to me was that it happened.
Yeah, whether it's you or somebody else.
Out of the huge bunch of small batch makers that are out there, Life Skateboards has shown the perseverance to push through and grow slowly
Yep.
and to develop and hone the integrity it takes to do this. And, there have been people who've been disappointed with life skateboards in the past and thought, oh, like maybe a board took forever to get there,
Sure.
Well, those days are largely in the past now,
Yeah.
But my sympathy levels toward those complaints are not high. I care deeply about such complaints. I do. But lead times on custom work
Yeah.
are always long.
Yeah.
And
And you got to pick your poison. Do you want to go get garbage from down the street, or do you want to wait and get something of real quality in the mail? It might
you can
take
do
a little bit
both.
longer.
You can do both.
You can do both.
You
Yeah.
can
You get it.
you can purchase a mainstream board or two
Absolutely. Yeah.
with an order in the queue, but now it's faster.
Yeah.
It is. I'm happy that things have developed.
Yes.
But they were the same, the seed was there
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm just I had people during certain ups and downs be like, "Are you going to stay with Life Skateboards?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I am going to stay with Life Skateboards."
Sure.
And I'm down long term
Yeah.
to not just keep riding them, but Luke, you and I have talked about
Yeah.
how would we run out product from my workshop.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
I know exactly how I'd do it. You would go to www.lifeskateboard.com
Singular.
to get anything you wanted of anything I made, because I'm not going anywhere else.
Sure.
I'm there.
Yeah.
And the team
Mm-hmm.
that Life has, I've begun to spend time with team members.
Yeah.
We got a house together during this event that we had.
Yeah.
And the crew around the team and the team, it feels really good.
That's awesome.
It is. Lots of God-fearing and sober people coming together and just ripping and repping great skateboarding and great skateboard wood.
Yeah.
And I'm down.
Yeah.
I am.
Absolutely. And I mean, I would be down even. It's the quality for me is like just the kind of the cherry on top. I just love Sam, and I'm down. But man, he makes a great skateboard. So much better, so far superior to anything that you're going to find at your local skate shop, most likely.
At least 3 different concaves available.
Yeah. Can you even order different concaves? Like if you went to
I tried it.
or like
I tried it with a mainstream brand.
How'd it go?
It wound up being a board that the actual designer of that concave sat at my table.
Yeah.
It was a confluence. It was a confluence of events.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy who actually designed the concave sat at my table and said, "Oh, at the factory, they just put the normal concave on this."
Oh my gosh, dude.
Like they just put the wide, they put the
Yeah.
wide veneers in the normal concave,
Right.
and they just cut it up.
Yeah.
That's just, they don't care.
Jeepers.
They don't know that the wide veneers go in the deep concave.
Yeah.
And maybe there never was a deep concave. Maybe they never did it, because I mean, I know they send samples back and people try the samples, so they must have teched in a deep concave, but
are they just picking from the top of the stack and the bottom? You know what I mean? Like
it's factory process.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Life Skateboards now is only like $8 more, and sometimes cheaper, than depending on what you like.
Which is a trip.
Yeah. It's unbelievable now. Prices are coming up, which should have happened years ago, and so they're still way behind. But the value of a skateboard deck off the wall at a shop for the factory, material that they are, if they were right priced up to $100 a deck, a lot of people would begin to demand, because inflation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I've said it before on the podcast, but I was in London in 2018, and not Ontario, England.
Yeah.
And walked in the shop, and just a run-of-the-mill Chinese heat sticker brand board was 70 pounds.
Which is how many doll hairs?
80,
wow.
90 bucks.
Like expensive.
I don't know what the 2018, but a pound used to be $2.
Okay.
So you're getting into the just sub 100 range
Yeah,
there.
even maybe a little bit over.
But I was in Germany and Spain
Mm-hmm.
and checked pricing there in
Mm-hmm.
2015, 17,
Mm-hmm.
and they were at 70, 80 euro
Mm-hmm.
on the wall in those countries. And that's like, it's $1.50 a euro back
Yeah,
then.
so it's like $130 a board, or
100.
could be
Geez,
up
wow.
to
It really is.
yeah,
It's like 110, 20, 30
right.
bucks a board. And boys and girls, mostly boys, are breaking those things.
Yeah,
That was back before the
yeah,
women,
sure.
back before they revisionist historied
Right,
the history of
right,
skateboarding, chasing women out.
right.
Um, outside of some very outstanding, strong-willed
Yeah,
women
yeah,
who braved, they may not have felt it was hostility. Some of them earned their place as one of the boys, but that's a terrible way for a market to engage and develop culture.
yeah.
Um, and that's fine.
It's fine.
And by that we mean it's
It's
ridiculous and
horrible.
should be
Yeah,
ridiculed.
stupid. Yeah.
Um, but
One thing, that I was thinking about, I listened to a video by like a global economist dude, and
yeah,
he was talking about China's economy and the likelihood of a like kind of a economic failure over there, and what that would be, what that would look like.
yeah,
And it seems like the likelihood is relatively high. And I was thinking about all these board brands who get their stuff from China, and I'm like,
yeah.
you guys, like, this there might be kind of a timer on this, and if that were to happen, I'm not saying it is, but if it were to happen, people like Sam over at Life would be really set up very well to be like one of the sole providers of actual quality
Well, that's a
to
problem.
America. You know what I mean?
That's a problem because working full time
Yeah.
with like life's setup right now
Mm-hmm.
is basically a two-man workshop.
Yeah.
You could fit a third guy in there,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Sure.
You could even have two people working process,
Yeah.
certain parts of process,
Right.
but it's a small brand
Yeah.
that you're looking at it presently.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam is a genius at workshop expansion development. He has really shone brightly on this latest
Yeah.
iteration of the workshop.
Besides the cricket.
Besides the one cricket who's constantly chirping.
Yeah. Right.
I was going to do an episode from there, and I was like, you know what? We won't.
Yeah, we're not doing it.
Yeah, but they can't scale much beyond right now. They'd be crushed with 500 orders
Yes,
a month.
it's true.
I mean, you're talking about an operation that can make 200 units no problem
Right.
now.
Yeah.
300 units, no problem, but busy.
Yes.
400 units,
Oofda.
topping out.
Yeah.
But that is not enough. Well, the nice thing is they last
Yeah.
like crazy.
Yeah.
So if we hit a time where they were maxed out and
Yeah.
they had waiting list,
Yeah.
I'd order two.
Yeah.
And when I got them, I
Yep.
would order two more.
Yep. Just to make sure. Right.
And I would order again when I only had two left.
Yep.
That's the way I would buy skateboards.
Yeah.
That's the way I always have. When I found skateboards I liked,
Yeah.
I discovered like you buy a skateboard that you like,
Yeah.
and then you order it again, and it's not the same board because they switch factories,
Right.
or the
Yes,
or the
right.
guys put the wrong thing in the thing.
Right.
That was one of the reasons I started I always planned on pressing my own boards from 2018 when I resolved. I just was like, how does a skateboard company even work
I know.
in 2002, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah.
And then I worked for a brand in 2005 through 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And that hit the wall so hard. I saw that whole model
Yeah.
is just absolutely silly.
Yeah.
Is absolutely silly.
Yeah.
And then I saw in 2007 that, like, I've got to start designing a press to see if it can be done. I was absolutely certainly guaranteed by people who were doing it
Yeah. They
that
could
it
never.
can't be done.
Could never. Right.
Could never be done. I had multiple I had relationships with factory people.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not hard to make friends with people.
No.
Also, not hard to make them angry.
Yeah.
I've discovered.
Surprisingly, right. Imagine that.
Let's see you stop using friendship and use relationships and connections.
There you go.
Right.
There you go. Right.
But if that shift were to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden, so I saw another thing. There's a factory called Watson.
Mm-hmm.
They're very famous.
Yep.
And we watched a big quality dip when their volumes went up.
Yes.
I saw a big quality dip happen when another factory closer to the Midwest, their volumes went up, their quality went way down.
Yeah.
Like you could hear them cracking in the box
Oh.
as you
Oh.
order 50
Oh.
decks.
Yeah.
And 25 of them fail within the first week.
Yikes.
So you're comping. I remember with that bunch,
Mm-hmm.
we got that batch in. That was the last batch I bought in 2008.
Yeah.
9. It was
Mhm.
2009. And I sold of 50.
Yeah.
I sold 20.
Okay.
Maybe it was 60.
Yeah.
Because I sold enough that I could flow the team.
Yep.
And then replace
Oh my gosh, the rest of
whatever
them
failed.
Oh.
I held back 50% of the order.
Yeah.
And I had this big long email thread with the factory. I was like, these were moisture cracking when they arrived.
Yeah.
They are not done right.
Yep.
And he even said to me,
Yeah.
he wrote it, yeah, we stored them next to the heater.
Why?
I was like, why would you say that?
Why? Don't tell me that.
I was hoping you would just keep
lying
to
yeah,
me.
Right. Keep
Why
it
wouldn't you
consistent.
just keep lying to me?
Right. Why do I have to live in this
I
world?
didn't call you to tell me one of 16 extremely disappointing and disillusioning truths.
Yeah, right. Right.
Tell me what I want to hear.
Yeah, dude, that's so funny.
It was
Please,
hilarious
yeah.
because I had a plan B in the works in 2009, which was I'd begun working on highly overbuilding my first press.
Heck yeah.
A 30-ton standing
Yeah,
unit.
right.
With I had let me think here. I had 20-ton jacks
Yeah.
on it.
Oh my gosh.
And
Crushing.
it was and my molds, like between the top and the bottom mold, were like 13 inches of concrete.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Absolutely.
You could have just set the top
massive.
on the bottom. Yeah.
I actually
right.
abandoned that press in a warehouse that we used to have.
Oh yeah.
I abandoned that.
Yeah, because you're like,
it was just
no more.
too heavy to move.
Right.
Remember when we broke that place down?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah. And I couldn't
stroke.
even with that. I left a trailer there. I left a press there. I left that mold there. I just was like,
forget about it.
Because I started making molds off that mold.
Yeah. That
were total less than 4 inches thick.
Yes, right.
4 or 5 inches thick.
Right.
And found out what I could do with, with concrete molds and how thin I could make them.
Absolutely.
It costs about $500 to do molds in urethane.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to make some urethane casts.
I wonder if you could do them out of like aluminum or something. It would probably be ridiculous.
The best way is what they do at Life Skateboards. Life Skateboards has their molds made out of poplar.
Oh yeah,
wooden molds are a great way to do it.
And they have somebody CNC their stuff.
Well, not only do they have a guy who CNCs them, but he has worked with the guy to tweak them into molds that he loves.
Yeah, that's what Sam does, dude.
I ride the Life Skateboards concave, even though they have 2 or 3 of my molds in-house pressing out what they call the Fickle concave after my previous work.
Yeah.
And I've been more than happy for like the Fickle graphic of Barney Fife.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it to Life.
Yeah.
And the font from that graphic,
FICKLE,
we took the L, the I, the F, and the E from that and made
a
Life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Life.
That's awesome.
I gave that into Life Skateboards because my heart is in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I want to see it through. I wanted to see it happen.
Absolutely.
And there's about 900 makers on the Art of Board Making run by Mike Villalobos.
Yeah.
And not a lot of them have gone that way to become a brand and begin to do that. But Sam has been dogged. I mean, he's had many points of where it's just all falling down around his ears. That's where people have had complaints. They've all had complaints that came at points at which, like this guy who runs a full-time job running carpentry, custom woodworking and running board orders on the side. Well, now he's getting to where the board orders are, and he has Casper,
Yeah.
who is a beating heart at the center of the thing.
Yeah.
And the two of them working together they're slaying.
Yeah. If there's one thing I know about Sam, he has a admirable ability to overcome adversity, not in a glorious manner,
No.
but just by grinding it
Dogged,
out.
yeah.
Just
Just
grinding, dude.
persevering.
Yeah.
Like, how's it going, Sam?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
I haven't slept in 96 hours.
Yep.
It's fine. You know, like, yeah, he's gnarly that way, man.
So that shift, if it comes down to it, and skateboards can't be made, and if I fired up my stuff,
Hmm.
I could do 50 a month without sweating.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I could press up 50 uncuts. And let me think about it. I got 2 molds running, ready to run right now.
Hmm.
So if let's see, 2, that's 6 a pop.
Yeah.
6 a pop every fifth. It'd take about 5 hours a pop to do.
Yeah.
You got.
You can do 12 a day,
I
right?
could do 12 a day, and
Right.
that puts me at 50.
In 6 days. Right?
No.
Oh no. Yeah, I did the
That's
math wrong.
60,
I'm sorry.
But let me see. If I did a 3 press day, which means I'd have to be down there babysitting the press for an hour,
72.
3 times. That's
Yeah.
all it means to get the blanks.
Right.
Just to produce the blanks, I have to put in 3 hours of press time. I get 12 a day. 3 days is 36 plus 12 is 48. That's 50.
That's basically 50.
That's basically 50.
That's 4 days.
4 days of 3 presses, but I used to do 4 press days because it's in my house.
Yeah, you go down at 6,
So who
and then
cares?
go down at
Yeah,
12,
6
and then
a.m.
4, and then 9.
Yeah, I would be down there at 11 o'clock at night before I go to bed,
Putting the last
throwing
in.
in another overnight pressing.
Yeah.
And it was an absolute winner. I used to press up 100 decks. In the other workshop, I had 5 molds running, and I can fit 3 presses in my basement the way it is. It was a mortuary, so it's a workspace.
Yeah.
I could fit 3 presses in there, and that really bumps you up.
Right.
Because now you're doing, let me think, 9 plus 9 plus 9. What is that? That's 18? That's 18 a day.
You could do almost 300 a month if you did
You could press
pressing.
300.
Yeah, just to get blanks.
But
300 a month, 6 days a week.
Because this
weeks.
kind of board making is such a good relationship with a skateboarder, and that's one of the best things about it.
Right.
You offer your models, and you dial in your shapes, and you dial in your base product.
Yeah.
But you want to be able to pay attention to custom orders. Plus, custom orders pay really well.
Absolutely. But they also are very time consuming.
They're not the worst. It can be done, but the phone conversations and the emails and the touching base and all that, if you didn't have the advertising,
oh man, yeah,
to do,
yeah,
it's completely feasible. But because skateboarding is just bought and sold by what I'll just refer to as a mainstream institutionalized model of advertisement.
Yeah.
It's just bought and sold to that.
Yeah.
You have to win your customers back. With Fickle and Midwest Blue Collar was the business and Fickle was the brand.
Yeah.
With that arrangement, I would make boards, throw them in the van, and take my boys with me on trips down south where you didn't have winter.
Yeah.
And we would get to know people down south.
Yeah.
And then I'd come back up. Not only would we sell what was in the van, that more than funded the trip.
Yeah.
But I would roll that back in the business and then have orders coming in, shipping from up here.
Yeah.
That was a very tough model because you're promoting it. But with life, what's cool is I might have to jump in the van with a team and not have to make the boards.
Yeah, it's super nice. But
actually work for the brand.
Yeah.
And get to do that. And the goal is is less than 500 boards a month.
Yeah.
And you've got dignified. The other thing is board makers have an ambition to make 40 to 60 grand a month, a year. Like these are humble livings that people are aspiring to because they're involved in a community that they love and care about.
Yeah.
So these small brand board makers, when you can find ethical and solid ones of them, they are, when they don't do OEM, when they don't try to become a factory,
Right.
if they stick to their guns, you're not dealing with people who are incredible financial climbers.
Yeah,
You're
no.
dealing with idealistic people who have a high affection for the community.
Yes.
And yeah, so
They have to be passionate.
yeah, I mean, some areas have these kind of well-loved homey brands that are
Yeah.
order out brands with heat transfer
Yeah.
stickers on the boards, and they have a
Sure.
garage filled with snapped decks,
Yeah.
and they love being loyal to their brand.
Yeah.
But the mechanism of the making of the skateboard and the mechanisms of at Life Skateboards right now, it's just vastly higher quality than it is other places.
Yes.
And some
100%.
people are rubbed the wrong way because, obviously I'm a believer,
Yeah.
a Jesus guy, you are,
Sam
Sam is.
is. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Life, as much of that is carried in the branding of Life Skateboards, it's just a skateboard company.
Right.
The people involved with it, we all have our own salt.
Yeah.
It's why a company can't be Christian. And that's one of the things
Yeah.
I kind of didn't want to talk about
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I was bumping around about not wanting to critique the mainstream Christian
Yeah. Yeah.
thing.
Sure.
It rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
The thought of, like, I got asked early on, like, are you going to start a Christian board company?
What
And
does
I
it
was
even
like,
mean?
absolutely not, because a company can't be Christian.
But
You know,
don't you feel like that's a bit of a wooden understanding of what that means, though? I mean, a
talk about
Christian
it,
can
Luke.
hold a company can hold Christian values and really like inculcate their vision with
Propagandize.
yeah. Well, yeah, I guess so.
Sure, they can
Yeah,
put out
sure.
their
Yeah,
message.
right.
I think that, I'll tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely wouldn't want to put um, a heavy expression of my heart
Mm-hmm.
onto anything that I didn't like its quality.
Oh, that's absolutely true.
I don't. I'm not mad if someone does that
Yeah,
at
that's more
all,
like a personal preference, right?
but I can't. I also don't like. Um, there's a lot going on here, and it's hard for me to talk about it because,
What if
wow, someone is
like
just
literally blowing
mad
you up?
calling me. Like,
If you hone in on
wow,
this thing that you just said,
that's hard.
let me see if I can say it back to you. You said, I don't think there is such a thing as a Christian board company. And
Well,
it's obvious that you don't like
there
the
are.
idea very much. So what about the idea don't you like? If we just get down to brass tacks. Because
Um,
I'm not a super fan of it either, and I'm trying to
here,
figure out the way that I feel.
I'll tell you one way that
Yeah,
it goes wrong for me:
sure.
hypocrisy.
Yeah, that's tough.
I'm really afraid of becoming a hypocrite.
But don't you run
Um,
that risk like in your life? If you ever
absolutely.
tell anybody ever like, "Oh, I'm a Christian," then people are like watching you like a hawk, and you're like, "Don't share my
I don't
religion."
mind being watched like a hawk.
Yeah,
Um, I don't mind being watched like a hawk, but
sure.
I do recognize that. Sorry, I'm just checking to see what's going on, man. Um, here's the problem.
Go ahead.
Like, I get around Christian ministry skateboarding stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and like, you'll staff a Christian ministry skateboarding thing,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And then it's all like, we're really good at skateboarding.
Right.
But I'll tell you this: if something calls itself Christian,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that's a big claim.
Yeah,
It's a really big
the
claim.
pressure's on, baby.
Well, forget about the pressure.
Okay.
Um, there's a passage in the Bible that says, "If anybody names the name of the Lord, let them depart from unrighteousness."
Sure.
Like, if you're a believer and you're gonna cheat people financially,
Yeah.
or if you're a believer and you're gonna behave immorally or
Sure.
unethically,
Sure.
it's a big freaking deal.
Yeah.
And if you emblazon your whole operation
Mm-hmm.
boldly
Right.
with Christian logos and things like that,
Yeah.
um, I just really want you to have your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
I really do. That makes me a bad person in some groups. So I'll run into a bunch of Christian ministry stuff, and it's not just in skateboarding. Like,
Yeah.
in like Young Life. Like,
Yeah. Sure.
I've seen in Young Life, You go to a campus where they got Young Life going on,
Yeah.
and far too often those people they're not living out
Right.
the painful self-denial of celibacy. That's a Christian deal, man. That's like with the Christ people.
Yeah.
Christ people who aren't married are supposed to be celibate.
I know.
Like it's a vow, bro.
It is, dude.
It is, bro.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
then you emblazon like all this Jesus stuff all over it,
Yeah.
and you take your crew out,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not. It ain't there, man.
Yeah,
And
sure.
that's really rough. I'd rather have like 10 auth. The other thing is I noticed that Christian branding compromises to some extent some of the authenticity that happens. Like if it's real, it's real.
Yeah, right.
There's this
Right.
place, I think it's in 2 Peter 3. I'll tell you, this is like what I value,
Yeah.
like what I wish to say to like missionally ambitious Christians, okay?
Is Peter's
I
before or
hope
after
I can
Hebrews?
find it.
It's before.
Let's see if I can find it.
Is it before or after Timothy?
It's in I think it's First Peter, and I think it's like chapter 2. I just barely, bro.
Where's
And we've
Peter?
got a fan blowing in here.
I know. I'm like
And it's
getting bad.
messing with the pages of my scripts. But what it says is yeah, here it is. It's First Peter 3. It says set aside. It says here, I'm going to actually set aside Christ as Lord in your hearts, and
Mm-hmm.
always be ready to give an answer to anyone who asks you a reason for the hope that is in you, with gentleness
Yeah.
and reverence.
Yeah.
And then I think about that, and this is not the only place where we get an instruction on this theme. This is a
Sure.
larger theme than
Right.
this one place. But I'm like, I wouldn't want to be out there repping the cross in the
Sure.
world
Right.
if the people weren't people that other people would actually ask that. Like they'd be
Sure.
like, bro, what is it about you?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's a tough
And
thing.
well, it's actually easier than trying to attract people to but the message about Jesus is not an attractive message, and trying to make it attractive
Yeah, yikes.
is not a great move.
Yeah, and it's always weird when people are like working a PR campaign using the name, like I'm trying to determine if I have a problem with people using Jesus and the Messiah and the gospel as a marketing tool. I don't know.
For a brand.
For a brand. I don't know that I do necessarily, but I do think there are some pitfalls.
There's a dark relationship
Yeah.
between that model of what we'll call ministry,
Right.
Which ministry is supposed to mean servanthood.
Yes.
And a lot of that energy goes to serve the brand, not the man. The man taught us to love our enemies.
Yeah.
The man taught us to dive to the bottom. The man taught us the last will be first.
Mm-hmm.
And in a culture that says, if you're the best, you're in charge,
mm-hmm.
the man's teachings are basically the opposite.
Yeah.
So we'll end on that thought, because
we do have a little bit more time.
Do we?
Yeah.
I love it.
We're good. I think we can run the whole way.
Well,
I'm thinking, like, I think that
I just think it would be better.
Yeah.
If a person has really authentically experienced the Savior, if they just make a break with the world,
sure,
and just run that, and be that and I think a lot of times we put a logo or a brand on it, and we run that out, and it puts another layer between whether or not we actually are it.
Well, and it's funny because sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes I'll meet somebody who's like running a business or doing a thing, and they're so authentically down for the Savior, and they're so everything that they do is just like plastered with that, but they're so down
Yeah,
And I'm
they
like,
like
man, I
live it.
love this. Like,
Like
this guy is sick. You
you
know?
get to know them and like their
Yeah.
home life
Yes.
and like the way they talk and the way they
Yes.
think is
Everything just
like
bleeds Jesus,
it's
and
there's
yeah,
hope
right.
and there's
Absolutely.
love
Yeah.
and there's peace and
Yeah.
there's joy
Right.
and you see this person and you're like, dude, what is it about you? That guy abused you so hard, but
Yeah.
you shot back with like, what is your deal? You were
Right.
so kind.
Right.
And like that's someone asking about and I'm like, years ago, I was last episode we
Hmm.
talked about some of my history in professional Christian ministry and how I was disillusioned
Yeah.
in some of it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's good
Yeah.
because illusions are not helpful.
Yeah. Not reality.
And I'm like it doesn't matter if you want to do a Christian brand, but
Hmm.
brother, sister, you better be living it. And living it is upside down to the predominant skateboarding culture.
I'm
That,
wondering.
you know,
Yeah. No, I totally hear what you're saying. I'm trying to figure out, for in my own mind,
mm-hmm.
to what extent do I not like Christian skateboard companies because they put a mirror up for myself? Because like the argument, well, you better, if you're going to do that, then you better be living it. That is true, but there's an attitude behind it that it's like, it isn't the entire point of the Christian walk saying, you know, the entire life of a Christian is the journey of sanctification. People are going to mess up all the time and fall on their face. So like, why
Yeah.
does it bother me if I'm watching somebody do that and then react in an honest, authentic way and
No,
say, I totally blew it?
there's
You know,
a
like,
big difference between someone who is humbly receiving grace
yeah,
for problems in their life
right,
and a person who is hiding
yes,
problems in their life with
right,
a religious sticker on it
right. Now that,
and claiming to be
yeah,
champions of a crusade
right,
while they're stealing money,
right,
while they're actually greedy,
yes,
while they're actually hungry for power and influence in
yes,
this world system.
yeah.
And that's, bro, people can sniff that out, they can
Oh,
feel that,
quick, yeah,
and it
absolutely,
reflects poorly on what's actually being described in this, in
right,
this the book that we read and in the spirit who backs it up.
right,
Whereas, like, I'll tell you what, you want to put Christ on your van.
mm-hmm.
All right, well, the first thing you do when you get to the place is you clean the frickin' porta potties.
Yeah, straight
That's
up,
that's
right,
a good embodiment.
right,
You take out the trash, you clean the porta potties,
yeah,
you spend time talking to the fat kid, the ungifted skater. You make sure and you go down and you focus to the people who are on the outsides and who are kicked out, suicidal. And I think a lot of them do it. I
at
do.
least, yeah, at least
I've
some of
met them.
them,
I
yeah,
spent
some,
I
yeah,
spent a good grip of last weekend with people who
have that heart,
actually do
right,
it, and I'm
yeah,
like, I'm down. But I also met people at the weekend where they're like completely off the grid of putting just their sticker on it.
yeah,
They're diving in and they're spending their time among the deeply broken
yeah,
and people of the world who are in darkness, and they're fishing dark waters, and
yeah,
it stokes me up.
absolutely,
Like, because I'd rather not put a Christian sticker on what I'm doing.
right,
I'd rather, if it's real in me,
yeah,
then it's going to happen out there in the world.
yes,
I'd rather have conversations that truly sow seeds in the world.
yeah,
I'd rather throw real bait in the water
absolutely,
but that happens in my life while even in marriage there's celibacy,
absolutely,
you
sure,
know
right,
like while I'm endeavoring to
yeah,
live a self-controlled and godly life
right,
and admitting plainly, I think I've done it on the podcast,
yeah,
there's plenty of times where a guy fails to live the stuff. I mean, I don't even know sometimes until after I haven't flown off the handle and cussed anyone out in a long time, and that's
sure, yeah,
progress.
good for you, dude, yeah.
But that guy's still hanging around.
Oh, he's here, yeah.
There's a fist fighter in me too.
I call him out into the light.
Into the Lord of compel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Into the light I
I'm gonna
compel you.
get that Constantine tattoo,
Such a
man.
sick movie. Horrible theology, but so sick,
It
dude.
is,
Yeah.
but
Oh, well, and I think there's an argument, like, tactically, people normally respond better.
talking about missiologically
Yeah,
in terms of like Christian mission.
yeah, like if you're on a mission, I've always found that it's I don't know. Sometimes I vacillate back and forth between being like, tactically this is better, and then other times I'm like, am I just being a coward? Is this just an excuse for me to go to the skate park, and because I don't have Jesus tattooed on the side of my car, I don't have to go and clean the porta potties? You know what I mean? Like, I think there's an
Yeah.
argument both ways. It's a pitfall both ways. I think what we're really talking about is, dude, just want to see people do this authentically and in a way that represents what's in the book and what pleases God. And for me too, I want that too. That's why we need brothers and sisters around us to put a hand on our shoulder and say, "Hey, bro, you're totally blowing it." You know?
Or you're partially blowing it.
Yeah, or you're
Like,
just
hey,
maybe
you're
blowing it.
kind of
Right?
killing it, but like shore this up. That's kind of
Yeah,
what
I like it. Yeah,
in civics,
yeah,
in society, we do that with guys like the
yeah.
Bunt,
The blunt.
whatever.
Either way.
We're we're blunt.
Yeah, we're blunt. It's the
We
bunt.
we but in terms of my brothers and sisters who are sincerely trying to
Yeah,
serve the Lord
yeah.
in Christian ministry,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much more to say than this. It's like, um, embrace the race to the bottom.
Yeah,
Don't be afraid to disappear.
yeah,
Don't try to make a name for yourself as much as you
yeah,
try to serve the Lord,
yeah.
and be very, very careful
Mm-hmm.
toward how you relate
Yeah,
to the broken
yeah,
and the hurting and the untalented, the ungifted, the
yeah.
lost,
Right.
the vulnerable.
Yeah,
Don't cool guy people
yeah,
for Jesus.
yeah.
And if you want to live a personal life of common immoralities and live
Mm-hmm.
like the rest of the world lives,
Right.
take your stickers down. Take your stickers down.
Sure.
And if you want to be a ministry that is a service, make sure
Right.
you're serving the Lord,
Right.
not serving the ethics and ways of this world. Don't do God's work in the world's way.
Yeah.
Like,
I I was a part of a Christian skate ministry for a minute, and there was definitely a taste of like, uh, I'm gonna do this backside flip down this 13 stair for you, Jesus. You know what I mean? It was like, we're gonna
yeah.
be cool for you. And
Mm.
I found it really distasteful because I was like, man, if people see this, why would they ever be interested? Because they're like, it doesn't, you're doing the exact same thing that the world does. You know what I mean? There's no actual change. There's no real difference because all that is peacocking. Like,
Yeah.
it's peacocking. Like,
Peacocking for in the name of the Lord.
yeah, which is even more painful than just normal peacocking.
Right.
Like,
Normal peacocking. I do plenty of it. Like
yeah,
when I
sure,
go out and
yeah,
skate, a lot of times I'm having a great time
yeah.
because I'm, it
You feel
feels
like you're ripping.
good
Yeah,
to rip.
absolutely.
It
Yeah,
feels
absolutely.
good to rip. I'm
Yeah,
not ever going to not feel great to rip. I love
yeah,
doing hard things. And you know what? I enjoy the, hey man, that was cool. I
yeah.
enjoy that.
Everybody does it.
I have enough desire for connection with people, something positive, please.
Yeah, please.
I
Right.
I always thank people if they think I rip and they say so. It's a very
Yeah,
nice thing to say. It's very kind.
absolutely.
But what I what I really want in this life is to
Hmm.
bring some of my friends with me when I show up in heaven.
Yeah,
And I don't always get to do that.
yeah,
I don't always get to have those conversations, and I tend to wait a really long time,
yeah.
just till to have them.
Right.
And my ripping is I don't first of all rip very hard, and second, how hard do you have to rip for someone to get interested in the guy who says, if you would be my disciple,
Yeah.
deny yourself,
Pick up your
take up your
cross.
cross, and come follow me?
Yeah. Right.
It doesn't mesh. It's
Well,
weird. That
yeah,
said,
yeah.
I
Go
love a
ahead.
demo
Yeah,
team that
yeah,
goes to a middle school and does a talk about Jesus.
yeah.
That's all right with me.
I've
I
done it. I like it.
I
Yeah,
like the ones that talk, like school, like sobriety talks. I'm
yeah.
really not a fan of the DARE program.
Sure,
Not a fan of those things, but
sure.
but it's hard for me to speak to that. It's easier. It's
Yeah,
easier for me to go, all right, well, we want to lift up, we're not teetotalers,
yeah,
but we want to lift up like your skateboarding industry is trying to kill you,
yeah. Yeah.
and the Savior loves you,
Dumb financial move. Yeah,
and and encourage you that way.
yeah.
I definitely love that people do put the sticker on the van and go out there. Only
Yeah.
just guys, make sure that you're not like overlooking to live it.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
if you're
Absolutely.
putting the
Right.
sticker on the side of the van and you're living it, and you're admitting where you fail and like
Right.
that, go, do your thing,
Yeah.
man. You know.
Right.
But I don't. I do. My hackles rise and I cringe
Yeah.
when I see like things emblazoned, and I go to like maybe it's like a skate church,
Yeah.
and I hear like, hey, cool buddy Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus is not cool buddy Jesus.
Yeah.
He is a he is an eternal being
Yeah.
of blazing purpose
Yeah.
who has given himself for us
Right.
in a way that the only apt response is complete surrender and just, what do you want me to do? And we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Mistakes will be made.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It bothered the yeah. Sometimes it's like overtly Christian and then trying to cool guy your way into it, and I'm like, oh man, this bothers me because it would be way cooler if you were just a Christian who happened to skate, which is the way that I would describe myself. I'm a believer in Jesus who happens to skateboard for fun. It's funny because inside of that vein, that's why I kind of said tactically it seems to work a little bit better because you end up chatting with people and oft sometimes even preaching the gospel straight onto a guy at the skate park and really getting an opportunity to love. And I think people feel a little bit more disarmed, not in a bad way. They just feel more comfortable if your entire deal isn't plastered because I think when people see that they're like, "Oh no, here comes this guy and he's going to like corner me in the corner and like whatever." And I think that that has a place to be ultra bold with the gospel. I think it really does, but I don't know. I think it's whatever you prefer, man, but
Well, if you're going to preach it,
yeah.
you better live it.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
If you're going to preach it, you better live it. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I ask of my brothers and sisters who are in these deals.
Yeah.
I don't automatically love your deal.
Right.
I'm I'm a fruit checker, man.
Yeah.
I can
We're
tell what kind
checking
of tree
fruit.
it is by what
Yeah.
kind of fruit it bears. And
Yeah.
when I run into a Christian skate ministry and the boys treat each other bad in the bunkhouse,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that sort of thing, um, where no one would ever clean a toilet, no one would
Oh.
ever serve another person,
Yeah.
where everyone's only in it to get what they can get out of it,
Right.
then just take the sticker off it, man, and run your
Yeah.
team. And like, if the leader guy wants to make disciples, start with in-house.
Yeah. Start with your team, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if
All
you
right.
want to be a
Absolutely.
Christian deal and you come out and one thing I like, there's a tour called the Catch Wind Tour that happens every year.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy Corey does it,
Yeah.
and I think he does it really well.
Yeah.
Because the Catch Wind Tour is a Christian thing, but not everyone on it is a Christian.
Yeah.
Not everyone on it is in that.
Sure.
And he just runs this really real program of, he takes them out and he films
Yeah.
a yearly video with them.
Yeah.
He gives them platform and like that. And Corey platforms his experience of Jesus really effectively to his own team.
Yeah, which is cool. Yeah.
And it's in the middle of that
Right.
you catch this, like, oh, this is good. I mean,
Yes.
this is real.
Absolutely.
This has feet on the street.
Yeah.
I like Corey. I like the way he does that.
Yeah.
And I see him trying to live it in it. And so, like, I like a specific example of somewhere I see it going wrong, right.
Yeah.
Where I've seen it go wrong is the classic, like, we're cool guys for Jesus.
Right.
We're cooler than you.
Yeah.
We skate better than you. Now listen to our talk.
Yeah.
Um,
We're gonna
and
intimidate you into the gospel.
well,
Yeah.
that's not without some good results. I mean, it's not without results, but the results are kind of despite the lack of love
Yeah.
that
Absolutely.
exists in the ministry and
Yeah.
in the group, despite the lack of holiness, despite the lack of real godliness
Yeah.
that's in there. And then you'll get, there's kind of a spectrum.
Yeah.
You might get some groups out there who think that they're way better than you because of how righteous and good and godly they are, but I don't see that in Christian skateboarding very much.
Sure.
I don't
Yeah.
see Christian skateboarding, high grounding people over their wardrobe or their eating
Yeah,
habits or their
right,
drinking habits.
right. I've seen a little
I
bit of it, but not a whole lot.
I
Yeah,
see a lot of the Christians out there who are like afraid to confront
yeah,
some of the things that we talk about on here,
yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah,
dude, kids shouldn't smoke dope.
yeah. What's the problem? I
Adults
don't.
shouldn't take painkillers.
Yeah,
Have done with that stuff and start to think clearly and open up the book and get in there. And
yeah,
I see a lack of boldness a lot of times trying to earn the right to be heard when the person who wants to be heard is Jesus, and he earned that right.
yeah.
Jerusalem AD,
Right. Yeah,
he
right.
earned that right
Right.
already. So,
Absolutely.
so you know, this is a tough topic. We struggled around on it. We'll have a lot more to say about this in the future.
Yeah.
Um, but um, we're going to keep rooting around in things as we go.
Yeah.
But a lot of thought and a lot of consideration ought to be given to avoiding hypocrisy.
Absolutely.
And that's where, like, oh, it's always been my dream to do this, to do
Right.
that. Well, yeah, but avoiding hypocrisy is something that ought to keep the Christian people up at night.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I mean, really ought to concern
Yes.
people who consider themselves to be, you know, like they're raising support and doing stuff
Yeah.
emblazoned with crosses and shields and
Yeah.
swords and,
Right.
you
Lions
know,
and yeah. Right.
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 They really, really ought to be kept up at night,
Yeah.
and agonizing over hypocrisy,
Yeah.
because people aren't stupid.
Yeah. And it's funny. I'm like thinking about that. I think it's so true, but it's also funny because the antidote to hypocrisy,
It's confession.
yeah, in my perspective, is actually not that difficult. It's just total, blatant,
Being
brutal
honest.
honesty. Just
Like, hey
honesty.
man, I'm going to tell you, I'm standing up here and I'm supposed to tell you guys about my walk with Jesus. Well, it's a wreck.
Yeah. It's
I
right. Yeah.
looked at some stuff on the internet this
Right.
week, and I want to talk to you from Romans chapter 6. We're
Yeah.
not supposed to give ourselves to sin as our master. Romans chapter 7, sometimes we do. Romans chapter 8, Jesus' grace is filling up what's left, and that
Yeah.
makes us want to be
Yeah.
righteous.
Yeah.
Makes us hate when we do that. Like,
Yeah.
that's a
Right.
good
Yeah. That's
confession.
awesome.
That
Yeah.
might be a better gospel than, like, I used to be a really bad person and now I'm really good.
Yeah.
But you're not, so I'm telling you,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
like
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's just one kind of facet of that.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it's messy, and I prefer to stay in the messy end of it.
Yep.
I prefer to spend my time rooting around on the outside. The other thing
Absolutely.
is, when money and Christianity meet together,
Hard.
it
That's
is
tough.
a breeding ground for some of the worst
Yeah.
behaviors I've ever seen. I had a guy, he was a high corporate dude,
Yeah.
and after one round of my history in church, I'd been pulled into a giant series of board meetings,
Yeah. Of course.
and the guy pulled me out afterward, and he's like, I've been in corporate America for like 25 years. Never in my life have I seen deals done dirtier than what I've seen in the
Oh
church.
my
And I'm like,
gosh.
that's because when it is about fundraising,
Yeah.
it's not wrong
No.
to raise funds and do things.
Yeah.
It's
No.
not,
No.
but it is very dangerous.
Yeah.
And you got to be on your guard against hypocrisy,
Yeah.
and you got to be on your guard against greed.
Yeah.
Being in this ministry stuff,
Yeah.
it is not all just, what is it? Playing
Right.
Candyland and
Y-
taking a 3-hour dump.
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's really,
Sometimes.
really agonizing, because, like, if you do build a ministry like that and you're doing that stuff,
Yeah.
people are going to come in and that's what they're going to want to do.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
it's like the entire nation, 2/3 of the nation of Holland,
Yeah. Right.
the Netherlands,
Right.
is constantly pumping the ocean back out of it.
Yeah. Right.
That's
Exactly.
what it's
Yeah.
like.
You're like two-thirds of your effort is just like avoiding the pitfalls that that are available to you now that you're doing anything.
There's two well-known
Tough.
sayings in the world. You
Yeah.
got two well-known sayings. One of them is shut up and skate.
Yeah.
And the other one comes from outside skateboarding, but it's the same kind of thing. Don't talk about it, be
Be
about
about
it.
it. Right.
All right. So these two statements are both valuable,
Sure.
but I find they are in error
In the right part.
because
Yeah.
of their incompleteness.
Yes.
I would say, shut up and skate, I would change to, no. Skate, but consider and conversate.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Seriously, we've got
right.
a lot to think about in
Yeah.
skateboarding, just as a people in
Yeah,
the world.
sure.
And that's one of my goals with doing this stuff.
Hmm.
But this don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah,
I would change that one, especially in regard to the Christian ministry thing.
right.
If you're going to talk about it,
Yeah,
you sure as better be about it. You
absolutely.
need to be about it.
Yeah,
And so my personal life, these times I open up the Bible and talk to you, my 24/7 lifestyle is trying to
trying to.
be about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And so that's what we have to offer you is like when it comes to like culture critique, we're going to do that.
yeah,
I don't see that as it's not as important as the second thing, which we do so much more poorly, which is to offer to our Christian friends the encouragement that, look, if you're going to talk about it, you better be about it.
right.
Don't be going out and thinking you can be Mr. Cool Jesus guy
Yeah,
at the skate park.
yeah,
If you're going to, smoke dope, sleep with your girlfriend or boyfriend,
yeah,
be promiscuous, all this sort of, then that's basics, man.
yeah,
Like,
right.
that ain't what it's about. And someone might make an argument that Christians can smoke weed. You can't. You're wrong. My show.
Yeah, it's my.
It's
You know
my
what? You
show.
get out.
No,
Yeah,
you got to surrender, man. You
yeah.
got to
And
live it.
the only thing I want to add to everything, I agree with you. But again, I want to make it clear. I don't think that we're advocating for like total and complete lifestyle holiness. Again, we're advocating for total brutal honesty and authenticity within
In the
this,
pursuit.
in the total,
In the pursuit
yes,
of total
yes,
lifestyle holiness.
exactly,
Yeah,
yes,
no,
100%.
we are
Yeah,
definitely advocating that people who call themselves Christians
yeah,
need to really,
right,
really bear
yeah,
into what obedience looks like within that.
yeah,
Please, Christians,
right,
either live it for real.
right. Poop or get off the pot, my
There you
guy.
go. Yeah.
Please.
Like,
Right,
seriously, either live it for real,
right.
or maybe a faith that you lose because you misunderstood what it was to be in it in the first place. Maybe
Hmm.
that's a first step toward an authentic
Yes,
admission of where
100%.
you're at,
Yes, right.
um but like we do every, like, the Christian thing is a big deal,
It is.
and it should be accompanied with major lifestyle changes,
Yeah,
that are too easily overlooked and glossed over with talent in skateboarding.
yeah. That's
And
nonsense.
that's a major loss,
Yeah,
to live your life thinking that you're repping something and find out that you
right,
repped something that you weren't in.
right.
That sucks. And that's biblical. Matthew chapter 7, 21 and following. Check it out.
Check it, check it.
Hey, we're at the end of another episode. This one's an hour and a half.
I like it.
Wow.
That's like 3 trips to and from work.
Did we
Or
ever
to
fix
work.
the fundraising part of our
Yeah, no, it's fixed.
thing?
People can
People can
you
write
have
in
to,
their
it's a
own.
double click though, dude. Oh no. For whatever reason, you have 3 options
That's it.
or
So
something.
Spotify our thing will only let you give $9.99.
Yeah, or like $1
month.
or $5 or $9.99.
Because
It's
we
like,
have had folks that wanted to give more than $9.99.
go to our freaking
PayPal. And that would be the CapmLew podcast
at
gmail.com.
Yes.
You can look it up in PayPal under the CapmLew podcast.
And it'll come up.
And that's
Yeah.
CAP and the letter M.
M.
Yeah. So that's Charlie Alpha.
P photon.
Is that really?
No, I don't know. Primary. What is it? I don't even know.
I'd imagine it was Peter.
Peter's probably good. Yeah.
I don't know. Charlie Alpha Peter.
Mike.
Mike.
Yeah.
Charlie Alpha Peter Mike
Lima. E is Ecuador. Equinox.
No, it's Echo.
W.
William.
Bill. I don't know. It's CAPMLEW.
Look us up.
It's fine.
We're grateful for anyone that sends us a few dollars.
Yeah.
We've been sitting on trying to make audio improvements. We are ambivalent about which direction
we're
to go
at base
with that.
camp right now.
We're still base camping.
We're at base camp.
Yeah.
It's
and
fine.
check out Life Skateboards, www.lifeskateboard.com. And
Yeah.
we appreciate every one of you listening. Thanks for being with us. Another CapmLew in the can.
Episode 93.
For what it's worth. We're getting toward episode 100. Wow, that's incredible. See you guys.
Laters.